We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast, the home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the award-winning scenes.
The award-winning home theater podcast. That is right. Yes, thank you.
So can I tell you, I just now realized watching that opening video that your countdown doesn't work. Your 10 to 1 countdown doesn't work because it goes 4, 3, 2, 4. Because it ends with episode 4. Star Wars. So,
as always,
you are occurred to me.
As always, a stickler for details, but you're leaving out the best one. And I've been waiting, and I did not cue you up for this at all. I've been waiting for somebody to go.
Oh, you've been waiting for like a year for somebody to call you out on your countdown?
Yeah, because I was so particular. 10, 9, 8, and it's every single one. And then the last one is, yes, you're correct. It's episode 4.
Right.
You can't figure that out. It's the number one. It's the movie. It's the number one movie why a lot of people are here. It's the number one movie that got me going into home theater.
I can see it. I can see it from that point of view, but
I know you can. But a stickler for details as always.
Point of view.
Yeah.
6 months later.
The lawyer part of me approves.
To be fair, most of the time I don't get to see that. It doesn't always play. So
right on your end. And also, to be fair, that I had to tell you what's written on the back of the hat I sent you.
You did. I don't always look at the back of my hat.
I know. Oh, boy. There we go. There we go.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, John. This is New Year. What's your resolution? Just to be the same as you've always been?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Why change?
Exactly. Steve, what do we got going on in the chat over there, buddy?
I mean, we have got people in already. So, let's say hi. So we got Dominic jumped in first saying hi. So someone called Steve George already said hello to him. We've got Steve who's been queuing up, not since midday. And Van Gool's in, said he missed it last week, but he's here this time. So hi, Van Gool. Glad that you're back. And Scruffy says he's here, so we can begin. Very kind of you, Scruffy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we were waiting for him. I saw that. I meant to text to that. I meant to reply to that one.
Mikey Schramm's in. Paul Hertz just popped
Mikey.
in. And we've got Jan is back, which I realized this week from Montserrat. I do believe that's in Spain. So all I want to say is,
who's that?
Jan, nice to see you back again. Here we have Jan there from Montserrat. I do believe that's in Spain, not in my part of Spain that I know. So you could have filmed The Covenant there; it would have been fine.
Right.
But unfortunately, they shot it where I know. And Joe Hertzl's in as well. So hi guys. And again, that's not everybody that's in the chat looking at the numbers. So if you're in the chat, you want to say hello, just pop us a comment, and we will treat you with equal disdain to all the others. I mean, we'll say hello and be glad that you are here.
It's a love-hate relationship, really.
Well, indeed.
Not Jan is not. He's in the Caribbean, not in Spain.
Oh, okay. There is a Montserrat in Spain. Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, John. Well, look,
I couldn't even say Montserrat if you just told me to wrote it out and said, "What's this?" As John knows, I have trouble saying Pamela. If you write it out for me.
Although, to be fair, the being in the Caribbean would be very pleasant indeed. Caribbean.
What?
Honestly.
Oh, here we go.
Aluminium. No.
John. Steve is now out on this entire show because my accent isn't appropriate.
Yep.
It's like it's not believable. He says he's from Boston, but he says Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but wait, that's what we say. Did you not go to the right place when I told you to go there, Steve?
Yeah, well, yes.
I've been, oh my God. That's been my argument. I'm married to an English teacher. She's like, you're saying it wrong, or you said this wrong, or you can't end in a preposition. I don't even know what a preposition is.
I think you just ended it.
I know.
Can I show off?
Don't you always? You need permission for that now?
That's true. Well, that is true. Preposition is one of the 8 parts of speech: noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, interjection, conjunction, and preposition.
Yeah, I watch Saturday morning cartoons too.
Yeah.
Conjunction. What's your function?
I watch Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, that's right.
That was kind of my party piece at school. That one, the 8 parts of speech. School days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
you're a blast at parties, aren't you, Steve?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, that one slays them.
break off into English lessons.
Yeah.
So we got a very interesting email this week, and I thought I'd read it on the show. I'm definitely going to be reading it on the Takeover Tuesday at the end of the month. I'll read the whole thing, but it pertains to spoiler alerts. So I thought it was important to read it on the show so we could have a little discussion about it. She's like, so this email comes from Geordie, pronounced Geordie. Sorry, it says it right after it. Geordie, but he's Geordie. And he says, pronounced Geordie, as in Star Trek. And he's in Australia. So sent me a really nice sent us a really nice email. It says, hi, DJ, John, and Steve. Longtime listener, first-time commenter here. I love your show. Well done getting it off the ground and continually improving so much that you're now one of the most popular, being in the top 3. That's a huge effort and major achievement for sure. That's not why I'm reading this. And then he goes on and he explains, what's that? Is he in the chat? What'd you say?
No. I was just saying, moving on. We've done the complimentary bit.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, and then he goes on and tells me about his system, which I'll have at the end of the month. And he says, I'm not writing to tell you about me. I just want to give you a bit of feedback on something besides all your great work. Spoilers. And he says, in my opinion, you guys have dropped quite a few, albeit mostly in the distant past. I'm sure not intentionally, and I know it's difficult to discuss movies in some depth while trying to dance around potential spoilers. I know you give alerts sometimes, and that's much appreciated and fair enough to go ahead with spoilers after. Other times you have said no spoilers, but and go on to give what I would consider spoilers. Having said that, it happens a lot less these days, and I feel you really have improved a lot when it comes to spoilers. I'm only mentioning it now because I was listening to the top 10 list for 2023, and a clanger spoiler was dropped on a movie I put on my watch list based on you guys rating it so highly, The Mist. That was enough to motivate me to say hi and also explain my view on what can be a spoiler that might not be obvious to the spoiler dropper. He says, maybe I'm picky, but to me, it's not just a spoiler when it slips that this event happens. To me, it's also a spoiler just to know that something happens, even if what happens is not mentioned. For example, someone might innocently say, the twist is brilliant, thinking that's okay because they didn't spoil what the twist is. But to me, the fact that I am now aware of a twist at all robs me of the surprise moment when what should have been unexpected twist occurs. All the way up to the twist, I've known everything is not what it seems, which is the opposite of what I'm supposed to be experiencing as the movie progresses. And while waiting for it, maybe I've been distracted by other subtleties in the movie because I'm looking for clues or trying to anticipate the twist and or what it might be about, etc. He's like, there are other examples, but I'll keep it shortish. Well, that flew by. Just cling to the one that was dropped in the top 10 podcast, which was about the mist and motivated me to send this email. So that was about it. So that's why I have spoiler alert up there. And I did say, so I'll disclose up front. I did say to him in my reply, I was like, yes, we have gotten better at that. I will agree. And I do feel like he does. And I was at times, it's like, I get cringy on this side hearing you guys. And then it's like, oh, there it goes. Cause we have gotten those emails in the past. About saying stuff like that. And I know the spoiler that they're talking about. It was about, actually, he does go on and say what it was, but it was in the type of person that made the movie is remember what you said, Steve, about the mist? So it's like, it's that kind of thing. And, but I'll also say, I'm like, we'll try to do better. And we really should, because a lot of times we're talking about maybe even movies that are older. And that's like, oh, if you haven't seen this, you should. And that's the idea. And when I was alone doing home theater experiences, it was easy because all I did was the home theater experiences, right? Now we tend to throw some of our opinions in. And I think sometimes then that can get to be a little spoily.
Okay. Your home theater experience is laden with spoilers. Though, because if you say, oh, at 10 minutes and 42 seconds, the bomb drop here, I mean, you're
right.
You're talking about the scene,
right?
And is it
but
possible to say what you're saying without telling what's going on?
Right. And but if you remember, John, back when I was doing it by myself, I would give my review of everything. If you should go buy it, if you could do this. And then I did a spoiler sounder and I said, here we go. I'm going to go scene by scene the rest of the way.
Right.
So then the listeners would know. And we've even talked about doing that here. And we're like, what if we could talk spoilers? But because it's a live show, you've mentioned it's live. How do the people watching live go, oh, crap, what do I do? They're going to talk spoilers and I don't want to get those. So we've kind of tried to just stay away from doing no spoilers whatsoever. We'll try not to do any spoilers whatsoever. And I think that's what he's talking about here is like, he's like, we've gotten better at it. But it is hard to do because sometimes we'll be like, and it's like, you know.
Well, and again, hey, look, man, I'll conform to whatever you think is best, but it's super stifling to try to talk about your experiences or a movie without talking about your experiences or the movie. Like, it just is going to really stunt the conversations we can have about anything we're talking about.
If it may please the court, I'd like to call my first witness, Stephen Att, who says, I watched The Mist for the first time after the show. Really didn't spoil anything for me. Maybe I'm just a dull blade. Don't undercut yourself, Stephen. I appreciate that. And then again, I think this is what the emailer's talking about. So
that is
when I said don't expect a happy ending. I mean, again, so Steve says it's not a spoiler, it's a warning. I mean, I think the particular nature of that, I agree with Steve, actually. I mean, I know Steve's kind of meaning it perhaps in a slightly acerbic way, but I think I would like to have been warned before I see that, because I think that's a particularly difficult ending. And if I may say, for some people, I'll be careful with the pun here, it could be triggering for some people as well. So in my defense, and as a defense lawyer, I like to think I can defend myself. I think actually that is a valid warning as to not the kind of ending you might expect from a 1950s B movie homage.
So let me defend Jordy a little bit.
Well, I'm just saying, no attacks towards Jordy. Like, I'm not.
No. But I was just going to say to Steve, when you saw it, did anybody warn you about the ending, Steve?
No, they didn't, and I wish they had.
So had you not, does your review of that change at all by you not saying? If you had done exactly like what Jordy's saying, like if you don't give the warning, does it change your review? Does it change anything? It's an extra piece of information that wasn't really necessary to what we do. I'm not blaming you. We do it all the time. I'm just saying I see Jordy's point in that. I see Steve's too, because to be fair, like the other part that you even said about that, and sorry if people are like, if we're rehashing this and you didn't see last week's show where the spoiler is, but here it comes again. So it's like you were warning it. You're like, it's not a Hollywood ending. It's a Stephen King ending. But then to be fair, it was written by Stephen King. And it says it written by Stephen King. So you could, exactly. So you can kind of, I'm defending you by saying that because Jordy would be like, I didn't know that. Well, it says written by Stephen King. But at the same time, if you want to have like, you just by doing a warning, Steve, you took away the opportunity for people to have the same exact experience you had. And that, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not saying you're right and I'm not, or wrong, and I'm not saying Jordy's right or wrong, but I can appreciate both sides of it. And I said this to Jordy too, I'm in the middle. I don't care. And as John knows, I don't remember things anyways. People could tell me something about a movie and then I'll go and see it and go, I forgot that was even there. AKA Spider-Man.
Right.
Like,
I forgot there was another movie coming.
And like Sean not only told me, yelled at me.
Because I told you.
I know. But you know what? Like spoilers never really bother me. You could spoil a movie for me. And what's funny is they do bother John. And John
bother me quite a bit.
I know you hate to have something spoiled, but you tend to get more stuff spoiled than I do because you're, like you said, you're in the comic book store, you're online because of work, and I don't run into it, and it like we'll talk about movies all the time, and like, did that get spoiled for you? And you're like, yeah, and I was like, oh, really? Had no idea. Right. I love it.
But also,
I'm also dumb.
If the title of said thing that I haven't watched yet appears on something I'm listening to, I fast forward until it's over. So, again, like I don't know. I feel like what's the statute of limitations? I get there's always like I've never seen the Maltese Falcon, right? It's like 60 years old, but I don't care if somebody spoils it on a podcast because if I cared that much in 60 years, I would have seen it. So, a lot of movies we talk about are not brand new things. Like I get it. If it's last week's episode of Monarch, okay, we'll tiptoe around it quite a bit and try not to spoil. But if a movie's 5 years old, even The Mist, like how old is that movie?
2007.
Yeah, it's 17 years old. And I get not everybody has seen it, but there has to be a statute of limitations on what we're able to talk about. Otherwise, everything we review is just going to be looked good, sounded good, move on to the next one.
Right?
Because, and that's kind of how all my reviews go, anyways. But
John's like, I don't know.
So I'll be
John, you should be
there,
like, perfect. You nailed my reviews.
But like every review is the same. If if we don't talk about the thing at all, there's nothing to talk about. It's just all we're either just going to thumbs up and thumbs down it, and we're going to move to the next one.
Right.
And so I there has to be some kind of medium here.
Yeah.
Or a way to do it. So.
John, you're playing to the crowd here.
Yeah.
So
John,
valid points, John. Anything that should be fair game. Steve says, I'm backing John on this one.
Yep.
So
I think we all are, but I also understand Jordy, and if it's a movie that we haven't seen in a long, most people haven't seen, we do that anyways. But at the same time, I would also say, like, write to Jordy if you're watching or listening, be like, you're watching a show that's about the movies and the experiences. So if you're interested in it, shut us off. It's like, because little things are going to happen here and there, but we literally try not to spoil stuff as much as we possibly can.
Right.
And that's been our goal. And like Jordy said, he's like, you're getting better at it. And maybe we don't put a warning in. Because like I said to Steve right there, it's like, that doesn't really change the review. Steve had a great review. We had a great conversation about it. And it's just that warning at the end, to his point, is he's right. And it's like, and I think you'd agree with that. I think everybody would agree with that. If somebody told you like, oh my God, when you go and see, what the hell is the one? That
the
twist ending.
Wait till the twist ending.
There you go. Yeah, wait till the Sixth Sense. Right, but it's like we use that as an example, but that is kind of disappointing because now it's like if it's fairly fresh, right, and we know that, but it's I can see both sides, but at the same time, it's like we are pretty good, I think.
Like I said, I see both. I just we just need to have a consensus on how we're going to approach these movies, because it changes what we what we're going to be able to talk about. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, just with Brent's comment, just 2 seconds. So he says it's got to be honest. The mist is 16 years old, and after 10 years, you should be able to spoil everything. If you didn't see a movie in 10 plus years, then that's on you. I mean, I think we're a little bit more fluid than that in terms of we don't have any hard and fast rules. But with the mist in particular, because I don't think I genuinely go, oh, and that ending, oh my God, because we've certainly come across some films recently with endings that we wanted to talk about and didn't.
Yes.
So, and I won't mention any because we'll upset Geordie. But
it's like
my favorite was like Oppenheimer. Everybody's like, don't spoil it for me. I'm like, it's history.
Yeah.
Titanic.
Titanic. It's like, it sank. It's like, so, and we make jokes like that. It's like, and what's funny is a lot of people I saw, they were upset about certain spoilers and say Oppenheimer. And it's like, that isn't the movie. Go watch the movie. You'll see that everything that we talked about, or whoever anybody talked about, that's not what the movie's about. You have to go see it and you'll realize, and I remember this conversation on Twitter. I'm like, that's not a spoiler. Right. And then, Steve, you've been down this road with, your
Patrick Stewart
in the trailer, and somebody was upset about spoilers. So,
I mean, I think the reason, if I may, with with that film, and again, I'm already now trying to dance around it again, is that particular thing in that film where something happened, because otherwise there's no drama if a movie nothing happens, is triggering for a lot of people. I think, especially with current events and things that have gone on of late, with what has happened over there, not so much here, but over there, and I think people ought to be warned. Because there are some that would be very, very
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
But
I don't agree with that.
But that's the reason for it. Not
right. But I don't. But that's the thing. It's like that's not what we do here. It's not, we don't warn people about. Like, we've never told people not to see something. We've never told people. We tell people we really liked it. We're not saying you should have it, but if it's not our call to what could be triggering, what could be emotional to you, right? Because what's emotional to you might not be to somebody else. And at the same time, if you're in the market of doing that and then we don't do it and somebody gets triggered and goes, why didn't you warn me? Because we don't do that. And that's you know what I mean?
Well, but it's not something that I've done before. After nearly 2 years on the show, thereabouts, 18 months, 2 years. It was that particular film because of that particular content. And as you guys know, for reasons
I don't want you to think we're reprimanding you, Steve.
No, you're right. You're okay. But I also want to address the issue. So, for reasons that you guys know about that I'm not going to talk about on air because I don't do that. It is something that I find concerning, and it's something that I felt was worth raising. I did it in a humorous way. I wasn't suggesting you don't see it. The reason we were talking about it is because I was the only one who said it's a fantastic disc and you should see it. So it's quite the opposite to don't see it. Was merely trying to, in a vaguely mildly humorous way, just to prepare Steve for what he was about to see. But yeah, so I mean, that's fine. I get that, and apologies, Geordie, if that has upset you in any way. But that's the reason for it. And whilst rightly or wrongly, that's the rationale for it. This was not me trying to just be facetious or difficult. It's actually me trying to explain that this is something unusual and different, and you ought to be, in my view, wary of it, no more than that. Bearing in mind that I think someone said they'd seen it with their 8-year-old. So I'm,
so Bill is saying, and this is what I'm like, I'm not trying to, I had no intention of putting you on the spot, Steve. I don't want you to take it that way. I don't think Geordie does either, because like you said, that just happened to be the most prevalent or the most recent example. So we used it. And it's like I said, I'm like, you're not wrong, Steve. If you want to do that in the future, I'm not going to tell you, no, it's not like I'm going to jump on you and do that. But some listeners don't like it. Some listeners do. Some listeners don't like the length of our show. Some do. Some want it longer. Some want it shorter. We can't please everybody. But I thought it was a great conversation because there are, like Bill's saying, both sides have valid points. And I see it from both sides. It doesn't bother me either way. On an instance like that, not like, I mean, if it was a full-on out spoiler, I'd be like, oops, that's not cool. But the subtle ones, I see both sides of it. So
yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, and to John's point, I think there's a certain amount of these films we've got to talk about. Otherwise, it is literally look good, sound good, you buy, move on. Yeah, and before long, that becomes quite boring.
Right.
So
because we don't need a show. You could just put out the show notes with a thumbs up or a thumbs down after every title, and
exactly,
and then that's all. That's our show.
Actually, Paul, that's a good point as well. Just looking at Paul, so remember that. We were talking about that. So someone who likes westerns asked me last year if they should watch Bone Tomahawk. I mean, we talked about that has a change in it. It's a mix of genres. So again, that's something we danced around very carefully.
Right.
But yeah, I think I think we have slightly changed over the time in terms of how we talk about movies. I think we do talk more as much about what we enjoyed about the movie as the experience, because I think, and we talked last time and we've talked a number of times, the experience is actually elevated or taken away from depending on both the movie and the home theater experience. That's why Evil Dead Rise for you wasn't number one, to go back to Evil Dead Rise again, because you didn't like the movie, but you thought the experience was great.
Absolutely.
So we do both, and again, I think we would take something away from how we do this.
Right.
If we go, right, movie's off limits. Everyone, this is a movie about a boat. Right. And it sounded really good, looked really good. And then,
did it have a motor? I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to give it all away. Yeah, that's it.
No,
there we go.
So great discussion, though. That's fun. Is everybody all riled up?
Not riled up. I mean, it was a great discussion, but I don't know if we've come away with, like, how are we talking about the things we're going to talk about today? Like we didn't.
It wasn't meant as a change in format. It was meant as in, like, here's a perspective, and let's talk. I mean, I could have talked about that all by myself in the takeover Tuesday, but I wanted to have a discussion with you guys about it. And it's like, and I thought it was just so that we could all hash out what listeners are thinking, and I think it is a valid point, as we got from the chat here. It's like people like I think everybody here agrees, and I say here, watching and listening, they all like, every now and then something might get spoiled, but if you could, just be a little bit more cautious or something or whatever, and that's all. And it's, buyer beware. And I mean, we don't, and that's the other part about it. We clearly don't do this on purpose, and it's not like we're not going to spoil a movie on you without telling you long ahead of time. Like, we're going to have a spoiler full discussion here, and we've never really spoiled anything other than doing that. And I can't even find my spoiler sounder right now, but
and in fairness, Deej, had it not been a discussion about spoilers, we would have never actually had contact with one another.
This is true. Wow. Yeah, that's
going back.
Yeah, that goes. Wait, which one was that?
Midway.
But the spoiler?
That's why you put the popcorn in. Yeah. Because I said,
that's right.
I said, because I hadn't seen it. I was looking forward to seeing it, and I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, okay, we'll put popcorn things. We'll have the popcorn popping, so that we'll talk spoilers.
So that we're going into spoilers. So you see that, Jordy? Great email. That's how Steve ended up on the show years later. He emailed me or DM me or whatever saying, you should put something in when you go to talk spoilers. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And I said, we're going to get into spoilers now. And the popcorn starts popping. And then I went to the scenes. Holy crap. That's funny.
And when you should have said at the beginning, don't bother seeing Midway, Steve. Anyway, never mind.
That's not spoilers. That's not what I think of Midway. I was telling you to go see it. And yet we're still friends after that. Had you not seen it yet?
Again. No, not at that point. I hadn't. It was the week before.
So you hadn't seen it, then you heard my review, and then saw it and hated it, and we're still friends.
Yeah, but
that's
took
a
it really
rare
to heart,
thing for
didn't you?
social media, especially
it to
for a
heart,
guy
I
that
think,
loves to block everybody. I'm surprised I didn't get blocked right then and there.
Oh, man. No, man. It was that was fun though, because you really took it to heart that I didn't realize you did, because I didn't know you at that
Yeah.
time.
Oh yeah, we
And
talked
then
like
you're
a
like,
year
"Oh, man."
later about that. Oh yeah. Yeah, it was like my first few months of like I started in November. That was what, March of my first year, first few months in, and here I get Steve, like, and I was like, I knew Steve online already through Twitter, and I was like, I respected your opinions about movies and stuff, and you're like, I was like, oh no, what did I miss? And then I watched it again, and I was like, all right, I watched it with my son through your perspective. I go, I see what he's saying, but I still like it.
Steve saying, I have Midway, still haven't seen it. Okay, front of the watch list.
There you
Different kind
go.
of warning about it this time, Steve.
Yeah. It's no, it was, because you do, especially when you first start podcasting and you're all by yourself, you take things to heart. And you're like, but it's you just got to plow through, because not everything's
What
going
did
to be
you think of
great.
it, John? I've just realized I don't know. Have you seen it?
Did you see Midway?
Did you
I don't
think
know
of
that
it?
I've seen it. I
The
own
most
it.
recent one.
Yeah, I own
Yeah,
it, but I'm
yeah.
not sure that I've actually watched it. I don't remember it. I would have to watch it again to
Yeah,
know,
I need to see it again too, but unfortunately, it's the only disc that has not made it into the collection. It went straight into the attic.
It's still in the,
need to-
it's still
I
in
need
its
to
own
dig it out.
original case.
Well, yeah, sealed in concrete and thrown off
It
the
didn't.
side of a
It
ship.
didn't get the paper sleeve treatment.
He threw it
No,
over
it
the
never-
side
it's
of
the
the
only one-
boat. Unfortunately, the boat was in a studio, and that's his biggest problem with it.
No,
only-
I
it's
do
the
need to
only
watch it
movie.
again, because every time you guys bring it up, I keep thinking, man, I need to watch that again or for the first time. I don't even.
Yeah,
It's-
don't
of-
remember.
of the just over 1,000 4K discs that I now own, it's the only one that has not gone into the collection. The only one. So I need to see it again, because it's probably all right.
I think
I
it did
just-
make an
yeah.
impression on me. If I
It
can't
wasn't
remember
shot in
watching
Spain.
It, so.
Yeah, that is true. I think it was shot in Roland Emmerich's front room.
Yeah.
Based
But
on those.
Steve Att, I'd also recommend the extras. I watched the extras on that one,
Yeah, I
and
remember you saying.
and that really pulls you in, because this was a the whole movie was it was a passion project for him, because his, what was it? I think his great uncle or something like that, or grandfather, somebody in his family had died from the exact same ailment that was in the movie. And he wanted to make that movie. He tried to make it in the 90s. It was too expensive, so he had to keep waiting till the technology came down so that he could make the movie. But as a home theater experience, and I think Steve would even agree, much like I agree about Evil Dead Rise, the home theater experience on that is absolutely amazing. There's a scene in Steve, right? I think you remember this, the dogfight scene when he's coming straight down, and the way they used to have to, bombing scene, and how they had to bomb back then, and he had to come straight down, and the way they film that, the way they shoot that, your room. I mean, I'm not saying it's as good as Maverick, but some of those scenes are very, very dynamic. They're really good. Really good. But and that's not even on our list today. Yeah.
There's an ailment. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So
Because honestly, that makes me think I haven't seen it, because I don't know what you're talking
it's
about.
not a
So
it's not a
don't
spoiler,
think
because it's not a big
no.
it's not
No,
a
but
big
I'm
part
just
of the
saying, I
movie
don't-
at all.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever watched it, but I do own it.
If I hadn't told you that, you would have watched the movie and went, he had an ailment. It's barely a part. It's not really part of the story. It's
Okay.
it's just some, and it's actually literally thrown in there because it is something that happened back then, and it's something that happened in the exact same way to his family member. The only difference, I'll stop right there. I'll tell you afterwards if you want, but it's
I
not
wanna
even
watch it, so.
it's not even a spoiler. Actually, it's not part of the story. The story is about Midway.
Right.
But yes. All right. Shovel not necessary. Yep, digging a hole. All right, are we ready to get? I mean, we're only 34 minutes in here.
So much for getting done early, Steve.
Who said we were getting done early?
Wow.
I know, and I've got dinner waiting. I've got and it's all right. We ready to go? here we go.
Looked good, sounded good. Move on.
No, this could be another this could be another fun discussion right now. So, all right, here we go. Let's bring up this first one here. Bring it up. We're talking Monarch: Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV Plus. Have we all finished this, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. No spoilers. The home theater experience, as we said, was wrong way. The home theater experience, I thought in this throughout was really good. It's Apple TV Plus quality, good, really good picture, really good sound. It didn't lend itself to a ton of great home theater experiences.
There was a few.
Yeah, but not a ton. No spoilers, not finished it. Yep. To be fair, Paul says that like almost every week. It's like almost every week. It's like I think he says that about movies too. He hasn't finished. Nope, stop! Don't tell me about the end of Lawrence of Arabia. I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, that's a hotkey. He just hits V and it comes up.
It's a hotkey. Exactly. Between
Tap
that,
the space bar.
between that and his Kaleidoscape drinking, he's just like boom, done at the end of the show. I really liked this movie, this show. I love the show. I love what it did for the what do you call it? The Monsterverse, the Monarchverse, whatever you want to call it. You guys weren't fans all along. Did the wrap up help you at all? Did the final season turn you around? Final episode turn you around at all?
Final 3 episodes turned me around somewhat. Yeah, I mean, obviously I made my feelings pretty clear on this show going up into the Christmas break. But yeah, I think the last 3 episodes definitely sucked me into the story a little bit more, and definitely sold me on season 2 if they renew it. It hasn't been announced yet. And also questions about, like we discussed, what may happen in the upcoming Kong Godzilla film. So yeah. Overall, yeah, I still was lukewarm on it, I guess, as a entire 10 episode thing, but it did pick up for me towards the end. So
yeah,
Steve?
I'm still very, very lukewarm on it. Unfortunately, there was some good stuff in it here and there, but there was some Scooby-Doo stuff. Just kind of the young characters just were a bit irritating by the end, and I didn't really care. And
I still dislike, all the kids.
Yeah, they're all a bit mopey and a bit kind of navel gazing for me. It's all a bit, I don't know, but there was some good stuff in it. I think you're right. I think the last 3 episodes did try to up the ante a little bit and give you a little bit more of perhaps what you're coming to see, as it were. But I don't think I
love how you phrase that. I love how it is like you're not the only one. People do that all the time. Like the show was made and they were listening to their detractors, and then they went, "All right, let's try to up this." The whole show's done. It's like that's just called the story arc.
Well, yeah.
It's like it's not like they got to the final 3 episodes like, "Oh wait, we got to add a little bit more for people."
I think they do. I think they try to build there's definitely a build throughout the season. They know when it's going to be high and when it's going to be low. And I think that's
an arc.
They definitely right, but I think they definitely plan for those last couple of episodes to to ramp up to keep you going or to hook you for the next.
Yeah, I don't think it
happens to be. But
yeah, I don't think I'd see. Well, I know I won't watch this again. I wouldn't buy it if it comes out on physical media, whatever it was.
Really?
And if they do a season 2, will I watch it? Yeah, but I wouldn't. It'd be like, well, whenever it's out, it's out. I'm not that bothered about it.
I'll watch it, but I won't be happy about it.
Yeah, I'll watch it under sufferance. Yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, we're going to talk about another movie later that I had to watch under sufferance the longer it went on. But yeah, I wanted more. I wanted something different. And I appreciate you get what you're given, but I personally wanted something different. And so, but that's fine. It's all good. I've got the movies for that. I like Godzilla 2013. I like King
Right.
of Monsters. I like Skull Island. I like Godzilla versus Kong. And despite the lethal weaponness of the trailer, I'm looking forward to Godzilla X Kong or Kong X Godzilla, whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. So I've got the movies. So if the TV show's not what I wanted, so what? You know, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's no big deal. But I
Great
just, I
segue,
really like
Steve.
something else.
Because that's what I like about it. It's not the movies. It's adding more depth to the movies. Kind of like the Continental with the John Wick movies, right? It's like this is really kind of like the Continental, where it's not like the movies. It gives you more story behind the movies, so that now when you see the movies, and even John and I were talking this weekend, we were like, oh wow, I maybe there'll be more of it, and it gives you just more context to what's going on with, say, Monarch, or these companies, or the world really around in this universe. So, and I found that to be really entertaining, and the depth to the universe that it added. And the people that liked it, I'm seeing that's how they're viewing it. But then the people that don't are closer to you guys, where it's like, I wanted way more monsters, and there are monsters in this, and and I think almost every episode had a good action scene in it somewhere. But to your point, it's like, it's not the movies, right? This is more story driven. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else on that, guys? Was that good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we got up next here? Oh, let's see how this one went. What did you guys think of this one? Who wants to go first? We're talking Reacher from Amazon, the Amazon original Reacher with Atmos 4K, a whole 9 yards.
What are we at? Episode 7, I think. 6
It's
or
over.
7 now.
Is it? It's not over?
No.
No, yeah, you're right. We got one more.
Yeah, it's not over.
Yeah.
There's at least one more, I hope. Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. Each episode is
So that must have been 7, and there's one more this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this one here, it's Amazon.
Right.
The picture isn't as good. The sound isn't as good.
Right.
But you don't need it. It's still good. I mean, to be fair, it's like, it's not horrible, but this is more just fun story. No?
Right. Well, I mean, there's definitely, car chases and guns and things that happen in this show.
Things go
but
boom.
There's a helicopter in one scene, but I mean, it's not necessarily you don't expect the same things from this that you would from like King of Monsters or something like that.
Right.
Because it's just not the same type of show. But I've really been enjoying this one though. I think, I don't know, I might like it more than season 1, which I liked quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm glad to know that he wants to continue doing this forever, basically. So fingers crossed that Amazon will just keep this thing coming back every year.
Yeah.
Until until everybody's had enough. But yeah, I really like it.
They'll keep it going until Reacher needs a walker.
Right.
But it's great. And I think this is great despite or irrespective of the home theater experience, because it's very perfunctory. Audio video is just okay, as you say, Deej. I think it's right. But it's a great story. It's great fun. And he is that character. I mean, you say it's not like King of Monsters, and yet he walks around like a big gorilla.
Well,
oh my God!
So he's great in the role. He absolutely inhabits this role. You never think you would meet anything else as Jack Reacher. And actually, what's been fun about this season is the interplay between him and the other kind of members of the team,
his team,
which has been interesting, because you would have thought, I've not read the books, the Lee Child books, I have to admit, but I'm aware of the catchphrase "Reacher said nothing," and I thought therefore that this, he's a big lunk, and this idea that actually he might not talk well with others and actually have a wit and kind of a good interplay, and yet that's in spades. I think it's really, really good. And some of the best stuff in this is how he reacts to other characters and other members of the team. So that's been a nice surprise. I thought it's really good. And yeah, looking forward to the finale next week. Or is that a spoiler? Actually, shouldn't say that. Looking forward to it. Just something happening on and on. Yeah. So no, I'm looking forward to it. It is good. It is good.
Yeah. I think
Deej?
the other. I've seen a few people say this is just stupid. Like when the first season came out, people said people liked the movie better or were thankful for this over the movie. And what I find about this, and I haven't read the books yet either. I really want to though, because I find that the writing for this and the creativity in this is so good that I think a lot of people, and Steve, you and I have talked about, especially after episodes 1 and 2, we were just like, oh my God, there's so much fun stuff in here. Just think of like, I said this before, when the movie came out, everybody was like, Tom Cruise doesn't look anything like Jack Reacher in the book, right? But what they did in the movie, and I've said this on the show, is like they took, the assumptions that people make when you come across the Tom Cruise-sized character. You're like, oh, he's not very tough, and yet he is. In this one, oh, he's just a big lug, but he's super smart. So I love that, the assumptions that people are going to make about these situations. But the other part I like is season 1 of Reacher was he's a loner the entire season. And it's like, so we went from there, and now in this one, it's about him and his team. I mean, that's part, that it's part of, that's what the storyline is for the season, right? What do we do going forward? They could do 10 seasons of this, and it's like, do a couple of seasons where he's a loner, do a couple of seasons where he's got his team again. This feels like, it's like, has anybody noticed this is turning into like the MCU? And this is like, season 2 is like the Avengers. Like they got the team together. Right. You know what I mean? And then it's like when he goes off on his own, they could do separate spin-off seasons of people. We might not even have met them yet. Who knows what other teams he's worked with? They could just make it up. It's so good. It's so creatively written. But yet, at the same time, it's just that my wife doesn't want to watch it. Well, actually, she does, because she just wants. She goes, "Can you turn the volume down?"
Right.
He's gorgeous. But
this
is like testosterone filled, right? You're just like, oh my God. It's like, it's just so much fun. And to your point, Steve, like we talk about all the time, like you can't do this stuff in real life. just walk down the street and just do the things they do in these shows. It's so funny, but it's just so much fun. And then the home theater part of it, there's no way it's not a fantastic home theater experience because it's Amazon and it's the story, but you gotta watch this in your theater. You gotta see this in a proper setup, in your proper setup. Don't just watch it on a little TV in the living room, because there are some good, like John said, there's some booms, there's some that, but even just the sights of the characters, it's just so good, so much fun. Anything else?
Great. No, well, yeah. I mean, this could run, and let's hope it does, because it's quite. I'm sure it's not, but it feels effortless from all involved. Everyone feels like they're just in the groove and having a good time with it. And so, if they can keep that going, then great. I think one of the challenges they're going to have will be returning him to being a loner at the end of this. I'm assuming they're going to have to, because that is the character. It is the Bill Bixby end of the Incredible Hulk episode. He is supposed to walk off with the sad music and just his toothbrush. That's kind of how it's supposed to be.
It comes up on and on through the season too. Like he's always talking about basically getting back to being by himself. So I think, who knows what next season will be, So.
Am I the only one that thinks it's amazing, bearing in mind how big he is, that he always seems to find a shirt that fits perfectly, like trousers that fit perfectly,
shoes, jacket,
such a big guy. Yeah.
Every secondhand store has a 7 foot tall,
extra large,
6 foot wide.
It just occurred to me as I was watching it.
All the boots are size 12s and
like snowshoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Bruce Willis can't find a nice pair of shoes, a fitting pair of shoes in a whole building of people. But he just gets the perfect every time he walks in.
It is funny, but I think he almost winks at the camera every time he changes his clothes. It's sort of like we know,
so great.
We know this is silly, but
yeah, exactly. So great. All right, let's see what do we got next here. Oh, this next one here is this is a lot. This was a lot of fun. So, talking The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This dropped a few weeks ago on Kaleidoscape. And I don't know if it's not out on disc yet, right? It's just digital.
I don't think so.
If I remember right.
I don't think so. Yeah.
If you're a fan of the Hunger Games series, I recommend this. I highly recommend this, actually. Whoops, sorry about that. I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. There was some, just story-wise, it's hokey, but there's some good humor in it. It follows the Hunger Games storyline. But for me personally, this was my daughter and I, we went to the midnight showings of the early Hunger Games. I don't even know if the last one had a midnight showing. I think by then we were into they don't do those anymore. It's like, see it at 8:00 or whatever. So when this dropped on Kaleidoscape, I had pre-bought it so that we could see it together, and our schedules didn't permit until last week. It was like, the weather was worked out for me. She was off. She came down. It's a long movie. It's like 2:45, but good. Like I said, if you're a fan of the Hunger Games, you have to kind of have seen the Hunger Games series. If you haven't, you're probably just going to be like, this was weird, stupid. You're like, home theater wise though, this is kind of like it had a really good picture. And it had really good sound, but it didn't have a ton of scenes that made you just go like, oh, wow, this is a great home theater experience. It had some scenes. It definitely had some echoes going on. It had some nice pans. My daughter and I were looking around at a few times, but it's mostly a drama about what's going on. And especially being at 2:45, I want to say there was probably 15, 20 minutes of action. And the rest of it would just be the drama. And it's a little bit of a backstory because it's like 65 years before the original Hunger Games movies. So, but yeah, entertaining, a lot of fun. But you really, if you've never seen the Hunger Games, see all those other ones first. Any of you guys see the Hunger Games stuff?
I've never seen a minute of the Hunger Games.
Me neither.
So
no,
I don't know. I don't have anything against it. Like maybe will at one point, but I've never. Yeah,
I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for my daughter. Yeah. But she had read the books when she was growing up, so she read the books, and then the movies came out, and she really wanted to see them. So we went and saw them, and I really enjoyed them. They're good movies. We've seen, I think, 2 of them on the Kaleidoscape so far, but we just had a lot of fun with them. And the first 3, or the movies themselves, are good home theater experiences. I want to say they're better than this because they have better action in them. This one, not so much. I know Keith of #Dork, if you're watching, do not see this because The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. There are a lot of snakes in this. It's in the title, but I was like, I don't like snakes. And I was just like, blah. I was like, it was cringing like crazy. So, yeah. But
I've looked at the box set a couple times, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. So I don't know.
It's an interesting story for sure. If you haven't seen it, it's an interesting story how it, like what it's about.
Well, I know the gist. Yeah. I live in the world, so I have an idea of what it's about.
Yeah.
But not seen it.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. Who do we have up next here? Oh, here we go. I don't know anything about this one. So, all right. What do we got for this, Steve? John, sorry, John.
John.
Oh,
Yeah, John.
I say this is Role Play, which was a new movie that dropped, I believe, Friday on Amazon Prime. This stars Kaylee Cuoco and David Oyelowo.
Oyelowo, yeah.
Oyelowo.
Yeah, he's an English chap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so this is kind of what was that movie we watched not too long ago with Marky Wahlberg with the spy? We just
Family
watched
Plan.
Family Plan. So this is another movie in the vein of that. Again, without too many spoilers, you've got one partner here who has a past as sort of in the espionage world and a spouse that doesn't know anything about it. I'll leave it at that. Of course, it's right here in the
It says
my
spice up
description.
their wedding anniversary with a night of role play in New York City.
Well,
Okay,
but it
you got
talks
me.
about who. Well, it talks about who has the secret life and who doesn't. But anyways, this was this movie was a lot of fun. I really liked it. As far as the home theater experience goes, it was very just flat, I thought, until the finale. Like the last 15 minutes or so of the movie, I felt like there was some really, really good use of all the surrounds and all the channels. But as I was going through this movie, nothing stood out to me at all. Like it wasn't really a home theater experience as much as it was just a fun movie. Like I do recommend it. It's really enjoyable. It is a little tired. Again, it's this formula that we've seen a bunch of times, but it had enough of a interesting twist that made it still fun to watch. But I do remember, I turned to Lydia as soon as we got 20 minutes into this, and I was like, I bet you this is going to be exactly like the Family Plan. And it wasn't exactly like it, but it was similar. But yeah, still fun overall. But again, if you're looking for something to really work out your system, this isn't going to do it again, except for the last 10 to 15 minutes. And then it was actually pretty nice. So,
yeah. But it's something you want to watch in your theater, right?
I still would. I mean, everything I watch is my theater because it's my living room. But
I look at it like Jen and I.
This would.
Have to go downstairs, or we could watch it in the living room.
I still would. If I'm watching a network show, ER or something. No, ER is not still on. But I mean, I'm fine watching that on my TV in my bedroom. But anything like this that I'm going to watch, I'm always going to want to watch it on my system anyways. And so, but yeah, definitely watch it on the best setup that you have available. And like I said, I would check it out because it is fun.
Cool.
So
I'll probably gotta try to get that one in for next week. Yeah. So cool. I hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah,
have you heard of it, Steve?
No, not at all. No, it just popped up when John's put the picture up.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see. What do we got next here? Oh, here we go. All right, Steve, you and I on this one.
Okay, so this is JFK, specifically the director's cut on 4K Blu-ray disc with DTS HD 5.1 audio. The movie, I mean, this is a masterpiece of a film. I mean, I absolutely love this movie. And it's another one of those films that I always forget to put in my favorite movies list. So someone says, oh, what's your favorite top 10? My usual response is, well, I've got a top 50. And yet I'd always sort of forget to kind of incorporate this. And yet it's a fantastic movie. And whilst, you can debate all day long about the truthfulness of the subject matter, and people have, I don't think when you're watching this, it matters, because this is the definition of an absorbing, engrossing movie that may or may not be true. And this is released. This is the American version. It is not out over here. I had to import it. It's the Shout Factory release.
Shout.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout Select, I think.
That's the one. It comes in a giant box. You've got the
mine's
cut in 4K. And it arrived over Christmas and into the New Year, and it turned up from the States. So the director's cut is the only one in 4K. And I read an interview with Oliver Stone who said, he's had approval on the transfer of this. And he said Shout could only really sensibly afford to do either the theatrical or the director's cut in 4K. The other one was going to be the Blu-ray. And he said, look, well, if we're going to do it, let's do the director's cut, which they don't always do. So I'm very, very glad we did, because this is a director's cut that needs to be seen. This is the way to see JFK. All 3 hours and 18 minutes of it. But unlike a movie we're going to talk about later, the 3 hours and 18 minutes of this flies by in the blink of an eye, because this movie starts and does not stop. It is just bang, bang, bang. And you can see why Nolan talked about this as his inspiration for Oppenheimer, because these two could be sister movies. They're so similar in terms of how they ratchet up the tension and keep it going. So yeah, it's a masterpiece, this movie. I absolutely adore this film. And it was an absolute treat to watch it again on the biggest screen I've seen it on, because when it came out, I was in Spain, so I've never seen this in the cinema. So I was watching on the biggest screen I could see it on in DTS HD 5.1, and I had a great time. So that's the film. No spoilers. Actually, what happened to JFK? I probably shouldn't say that. Anyway,
we don't know yet.
Yeah, is he still president?
They haven't released it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is true. Yeah. So the in terms of the video, so this has been original camera negative remastered. Now, where it is quite challenging, it looks great. I mean, I'll tell you that, but it is a very challenging movie to remaster, because there's so many different film stocks used. You've got black and white, you've got color. Sound familiar? Oppenheimer. You've got black and white, you've got color, you've got some dreamlike sequences. Lots of it's been shot in very harsh light and very soft focus, where you've got light coming either directly from below or directly above. And it is soft focus at times, so it does look quite dreamlike, and that can be problematic. And so at times it is soft, it's a little hazy, but other times it's razor sharp and looks great. It's never distracting. It's exactly how, Oliver Stone wanted it to look, and it looks great. So it looks really good. What I wasn't prepared for is just how good it sounds. Now, I have listened to it before. I had the Blu-ray and I watched the Blu-ray, but I don't recall it ever sounding as good as this. Upmixed to Neural X, admittedly, but it is an exceptional sound mix. It's a really fun, right from the beginning, you get audio going right around the room, things bouncing, but there's a fun little bit early on in the movie where Jim Garrison, Kevin Costner, is in a bar. Oh, careful what I say about the scene, don't want to say too much about what happens, but in a bar doing something. There is
drinking.
I don't know if you caught this, Deej, when you saw it. Yeah. Well, drink. Spoilers, Deej. He's in a bar doing something, and there's this little shot where the camera moves, and moves around the bar, and someone has got a cough in the bar, and the cough and they cough. I think it's 4 times, and the cough goes from rear left, halfway down the wall, front left, and then to the center channel. And it was really, I was like, whoa, did that really happen? And I put it back and played it back, and I was like, oh, yeah. It's cough.
Back and to the left. Back and to the left.
Yeah, the magic cough theory. So it was, so that was really unexpected. And then you get storms, and you get thunder. Quite a lot of this movie takes place in the sea, and all that's
Carl Elbreth's ears just perked up.
Yes, perked up. Yeah. Well, Carl liked my tweet that I put out about this. I'm sure Carl would love this. And so it sounds great, and there's always something going on in the speakers. And for a movie that is a drama and is dialogue driven, I was not expecting it to be such an enveloping mix, and at times it is awesome. So I was really, really pleased with that. This is a great disc, a very nice set, and well worth picking up. I mean, really should if you can. It's not cheap. It cost me Lawrence of Arabia money almost to get it from the US, because I wanted it as soon as it came out mid-December, and like literally the day it came out, I'd ordered it, and so I'd be paying full price as well. And then obviously it's a big set, so it's going to cost a bit. But it's fantastic, and I'm so glad I've got it. And so, it's well worth picking up. And I think just about everybody loves this movie. There's not many people that don't. And I think if you want to see it as good as it's ever looked and sounded, this is the way to do it. I loved it. So anyway, Deej, what did you think? It sounds like you've got it. Have you? You've got the set?
I don't have the 4K version yet from Shout. In preparation, I was hoping to have it before today's show. I was hoping to have it before this weekend, but it's coming in hopefully this week. Should be here. It might be here now. So I went through. I didn't watch beginning to end of the. I have the director's cut on Kaleidoscape, but it's just the HD DTS Master Audio, which I jumped through to different scenes. I probably watched almost the whole thing, like an hour of it, but scanning through it just to see in prep, because I want to see I want to experience what the differences could be, especially with the picture and the 4K and everything. I thought the sound was really good already in what I have here, and if I have it in time for next week, I'll have it for my full comparison for next week's show. But I found it, like everything you said, is like, I'm hoping that the 4K version it enhances what we already know, right? Like the different film stock, the different lighting. Some scenes are darker, lighter. But yeah, I thought the sound was really good. So I'll be interested to see if there's a noticeable improvement, or if it was just that, okay, our systems are better and we're taking relatively the same audio and we've just upped it ourselves, which tends to happen too. So that'll be interesting. But you're right. It's such a good movie. I remember I can't tell you how many times I watched this back when it came at home, just because I've always been fascinated with the entire event itself. And but yeah, and then this interpretation of it from Oliver Stone, I thought is just it's a masterpiece. It's
the monologue, Costner's monologue is the kind of thing that lawyers watch and go, because most of the time you see movies in courtroom scenes and it's like, that's just nonsense, it's just not what would happen, that's not a lawyer. But the way Costner delivers that is awesome. I mean, it's the kind of thing, like I said, lawyers like me look at that and go, that's how I would deliver that, that's how I would intone that, that's how you would bring that forward. And the last little bit of that monologue is the stuff of cinema legend, just what Costner does, spoiler free, is a very clever little thing. And I don't think, I did check and look on IMDb, I don't think it was scripted, and I don't think Stone told him. I think he did it off his own bat, and it's just awesome. It's a very cool thing to do. It's just a little thing that you can easily miss. If you're watching this in your front room on your little TV, you're not even going to notice it happens. But if you watch this on a sizable screen, it's a very cool little thing. And again, I'm dancing around that deliberately, but it's very, very good. So yeah, I called it a masterpiece on Twitter. It is a masterpiece. And again, a film that I keep forgetting to say is one of my favorite. It is awesome. What did you think of it, John? I mean, you've seen it, I assume. Do you own it on Blu-ray or?
I don't own it. I have seen it. I don't know that I've ever seen the director's cut though. Because I don't own it on. I don't own it on Blu-ray. So I mean, anytime I've seen this, it's probably been HBO. It's probably been on one of the streaming services. But yeah, I love the movie. But I'm looking at the 4K set right now. So
it's
mega bucks.
Yes,
it's $45 on Amazon.
$45. Yeah,
it's not crazy, but but
Steve Att in the chat.
For it.
Steve Att in the chat saying, never watched the movie. Sad memories of that day still remain. Visiting the grassy house and the book depository was tough. And there is, I mean, honestly, I'm that way with Patriot Day. And what's that? Wahlberg, right? Patriots Day or Patriot Day, whatever Patriot it is.
Day, yeah.
And I can see it. What was the one Gyllenhaal did for the Boston Marathon bombing? Gyllenhaal, what was the name of that one?
Don't know. I didn't know he did one.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that one, and I haven't been able to watch that, but I want to. He plays an actual. Oh man, now I'm an idiot. I can't remember who it was, but they filmed part of it at the Garden at one of the Bees games I was at. They needed the crowd to stay to shoot a shot, and Gyllenhaal. That was pretty cool. That one there is more realistic because it's based off an actual person from that day. The Patriot Day one is I just don't. It's a glorified version with a made up fictional character, and I was like, I'm not saying you shouldn't see it. I'm just saying I can't take part in that. I just don't like that, but I get it, right? I understand you're gonna make movies off this stuff, and that's fine, but I appreciate what you're saying, Steve. So all right, let's see what else. Anything else on JFK director's cut in 4K?
Just buy it if you can.
Yeah. It's and I can't wait for mine to get here, to be honest. But all right, this next one is kind of embarrassing for me, but yeah, let's get right to it. The Protege from. Is this 2021, Steve? You're better. I think it was 2021.
I've never heard of this film.
Me neither. Oh my God. Thank you, Steve. So The Protege with Maggie Q, Samuel Jackson, Michael Keaton. Oh my God. This 4K Dolby Atmos. It's available for like $18 on Amazon, 4K and Dolby Atmos. I had so much fun with this movie. It is a really good home theater experience. I'm not saying it's like, I wouldn't go as far to say as it's like, a must own, but it's by the end of this movie, I was like, how have I never heard of this before? It's got everything we want. It was fun. It had a fun story. Samuel Jackson is great. It's Michael Keaton is awesome. Maggie Q. Oh my God. I had so much fun with this movie. And I've been dying to talk to you about this, Steve, because this takes Evil Dead Rise and just throws the drone scene out the window. This has a rival drone. Claim. Yeah, it is. This has a rival.
Steve's buying it now.
Drone scene in it. It's a fun scene. It's a funny scene, but it's a drone scene. And there's actually a couple of them. But when you see the first one, you're going to be like, all right, Deej, I like Evil Dead better, but that was pretty good. Or you're going to go, maybe that's a little better. I was blown away by that scene. A lot of it was, if I hadn't seen Evil Dead Rise and we haven't had our history with that, I still would have been blown away. It was a great scene, but it's so much better to me because it's like another great drone scene. There's a lot of fun stuff in this movie. I was the same way. I was like, I just hadn't heard of it. I don't know if it was. Did you see have you found the date on it yet, Steve?
2021. Yeah, you were right.
Is it? Okay. So it's really, really good. I had the humor in it. There's dry humor. There's like some like it's just a good read. Read the synopsis of it. It's a skilled assassin confronts the dark secrets of her legendary mentor's past while seeking revenge for his murder. It's a blast. I couldn't believe that I hadn't heard of this before, and it's funny that you say that, Steve. I'd never heard of this. Check it out. It's really good. Have you heard of it, John?
No, I've never heard of it either.
What'd you say, Steve? Sorry.
It's on 4K disc in the US.
Yes,
and I can get it here for less than £20. So
yeah,
from Amazon.
Yeah, it's $18.99. Well, for me, it's $18.99.
Yeah.
Okay. It's completely passed me by. I've never even heard of it. So
Nelson in the chat. He's like, I've got the UHD disc of The Protege. Fun, silly movie with a lot of my favorite actors. And it is. And it's like, and that's one of the things to me that you're like, how did this pass us by? We're talking to people all over the world, but we're not. How have I not heard of this before? I'm not saying we know everybody in the world, but oh my God, it was really good. And it's fun. See Steve at in the chat, fun flick, one of Jackson's
Many movies.
One of Samuel Jackson's 324,045 films. Good HT. And it was. It really was. Like I said, I'm not saying you're gonna be like, oh wow, this is a must-own reference disc. But for something that I hadn't heard before, and that's why you hate and Steve saying it, Steve at saying in the chat, the Blu-rays in Atmos as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's but yeah, I can't really comment on the 4K. It's not like I was sitting there going, oh my God, the black level's so deep. It just looked really good. The whole movie does. It just looks really good. Sounds really good. It was so much fun. Brockstar Protege was a lot of fun, silly fun. I mean, I don't know. How did we miss this? So that's what we're here for. Glad I tried it. Man. So much fun. So, and I can't wait for you guys to see it now, and then we'll talk about it again.
Yeah.
It's an Amazon original in the UK.
Oh, is it?
So it's free on Amazon Prime in the UK. Yeah.
I'd own it. I'd get the. I would own it. This is definitely one to own over. Get the physical version of this so that you get the full Atmos and not, what I'm going to talk about later. The sound just wouldn't compare, and I mean, sure, it would be good, but if you typically buy physical, then grab the physical version. So, all right, let's see, what do we got next here? Oh yeah, here we go. All right, wonder how many of us have seen this. So, John,
seen it.
Yeah, I know. It's your picture. Did you see it, Steve? We're talking about Echo.
Oh, it is my picture, isn't it? I forgot I put this in there.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. So no spoilers, please.
DJ,
she's deaf. Yes, I have seen it. So Echo on
so this
Disney
was Echo,
Plus.
Yeah, on Disney Plus. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. It's 5-episode limited series. I really enjoyed it, actually. I thought the show was excellent. And I particularly liked, again, trying not to spoilers, but most of us know the main character is deaf. I really liked the use of the cut-ins with the sound and the silence throughout most of the series. When she was, I guess I liken it to a video game, right? When she's when you're in her perspective, everything is silent. You're just kind of watching the action take place. And then as soon as it kind of switches perspective to whoever else is in the scene with her, it seems like it just comes in so loud every time, even though it's not any louder than anything else you listen to, but it jars you back into it when it switches perspectives, which I really enjoyed. I liked the use of that throughout the whole series. Couple of cameos in here. Again, I won't spoil anything, but this was branded under the Marvel Spotlight logo, which is supposed to mean that it's a standalone thing and not necessarily connected to the rest of the MCU. But since they have recently added all of the Netflix Marvel stuff to official canon, I don't know how you could say that this is not canon to the MCU as well. Because the characters, a lot of the stuff took place in the Daredevil show. She appeared in the Hawkeye show, which was canon to the MCU. So I don't necessarily understand the Spotlight. Not that has anything to do with the home theater aspect or anything else. But I went into this thinking that, this is just going to be its own thing because that's what they told us. But I mean, this definitely feels like it's part of the MCU. Whether it'll mean anything later on remains to be seen. But But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I've just like everything else Marvel. I've seen a lot of, negative reaction to this. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So,
yeah, I thought it was a lot. I thought the home theater experience on it, like you said, I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was
for Disney Plus, especially for Disney Plus. There was one particular scene that I didn't like, but I can appreciate it because the sound. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, John, but they opened up an episode and the sound was so, it hurt. The sounds in your room are so shrieking. And it's, I'm likening it to if somebody doesn't like nails on a chalkboard, right? That's not the sound in this scene, but it was loud, but it wasn't the volume that bothered me. Like I was so close to turning it down because I was like, they just hit a frequency. And I think it comes from like every speaker in the room. I could almost not tolerate it. It was that bad. And but at the same time, I'm like, this is amazing because it was actually hurting me.
Right.
It is so like, cool. Yeah, I was like, oh, and I wanted to get up and go around the room and see if it was in every speaker, but I'm like, I can't handle this here. Why am I going to put my ear to every speaker to see if it's there? I was just like, this is irritating. Why are they doing this? But it's like, it just hit a frequency to me that I can't handle. And I was just like, but to your point, John, with the lack of sound, then bringing in the sound, and then there are great pans. There's good action. I thought the picture was really good too. When different palettes, I should say, throughout. And I thought it was for Disney Plus. To me, it looked like they're improving their streaming filmmaking. To me, I actually thought it was better than Loki season 2, home theater wise. I thought Loki season 2 was still like I wasn't crazy about the picture in that one as much as I'm like this one is better. They're not Apple TV or Netflix quality yet, but it is. I really enjoyed it. So, are you going to check it out, Steve?
Yeah, I will do. I've fun enough. I've just bought Loki, or had bought for me Loki season 1 on 4K disc. So I'm going to rewatch that, then watch season 2, and then I'll catch up to this. I mean, I never saw Secret Invasion, and as I've said, I'm getting Marvel fatigue, if not full on right in the middle of Marvel fatigue. And so I think I will get round to it because I have heard about again how it all comes out, how it all shakes out, and that does sound interesting. So I will, but it's not high on my list, I have to say.
Yeah. But, I mean, people are getting fatigue. I don't mind. I'm like, more content, okay. And it's, I mean, the action stuff. I think John, the spotlight idea is like doesn't necessarily have to play into it. I mean, it's still in the universe, but maybe this doesn't go any further, or
no, but
something
it doesn't.
like that.
Again, it was just my understanding of the spotlight was, I know not everybody here reads comics, but it was, like an Elseworlds kind of thing in the comics, like that. This was something that was not going to be tied to any of the current continuity. But I mean, there's characters that appear here that are definitely part of Marvel canon, and there is, spoilers, Marvel does end credit scenes, and this is no different. And that's good to know. And that obviously plays into stuff that's going to happen in canon. So to say this is a spotlight, feature, it just, to me, it wasn't. This is canon to the MCU as far as I'm concerned, because this is definitely takes place in that world with characters that matter and are going to appear again. Even if she never appears again, things that happened in this show will echo through other shows. No pun intended. Yeah.
You nailed that, John. We practiced that the other day. Oh my God. Nice job. Seems so natural too.
So natural that I almost didn't catch myself when I said it.
Did you see my fingers?
No, I looked up and saw the title of the show as I was talking. That's how smooth
That's
I
John,
am.
hyper observant.
Yep.
But yeah, but even that, everything you're saying to the point is like, it can be canon. It could be a spotlight on the character that doesn't play into the rest of the MCU, but the people in the MCU can pop in, just like in comics. And that used to be some of the fun stuff, right? Like you'd be reading a comic and all of a sudden there's a character that's not normally in this book. And you're like, oh my God, same idea, right? And it's like, so say a character pops in and that character is canon. Well, we know she's in this world. It kind of like, remember how they first did the Netflix series with Daredevil and we were so excited? All they did was mention the Battle of New York.
Right.
So that put it into canon of like, okay, this is going on. He knows what happened there. And that was enough for us back in 2015 that we were like, oh my God, like Daredevil, like they knew who. And then now we start asking as fans when they drop Spider-Man into the MCU, like, come on, why isn't Spidey swinging through town? You know, like, why aren't they helping each other out? And so, yeah, I was like, speaking of which, it's not really home theater related, but canon and all of that. I watched Sly.
Oh yeah,
and Sylvester Stallone,
good,
and he goes, it was really good. But here's where it gets canon in MCU when he goes back to New York, and he grew up in he grew up, lived in the apartments in what's it called? Where Daredevil Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
And they actually have the shot of the tower.
Oh,
they actually have the shot, and I was like, "Is Daredevil going to be in this?" Like, no, you donkey, this is reality. So, but yeah, it's like, and that's how stupid we are with like, oh, shared universe. It's like Sly Stallone grew up in Hell's Kitchen. Oh, so yeah, all right. Let's see. I put the show together and I'm always in a surprise, like what's coming up next. Oh, not that button. Damn it. Oh, yeah, I want to hear all about this. I don't know anything about this. So, all right. There you go,
okay,
Steve.
so this is Planet Earth 3, or I suppose, but really Planet Earth 3. And this is the latest BBC nature documentary that came out here last week, I think it was. Might have been the week before. Now, have you guys seen Planet Earth 1 and 2, or do you guys watch the BBC?
Yeah, I do watch these. I've got Planet Earth. I've got like the ocean. I don't know. I've got like
Blue Planet, and Blue Planet 2.
I've got 4 or 5 of these. Yeah.
Quite. Yeah. So so I've got and same with me as well. And I've got dynasties and a world of plants and all this sort of stuff. Right. So this is a series of documentaries, and it's a series of episodes. This one's got 8 episodes in it. They're all about an hour long, all narrated by the one, the only David Attenborough. And this is the latest one. And the thing with these is they traditionally have been brought out as, obviously they're informative, they're nature documentaries, but they're also home theater demo material. And Planet Earth 1, when that came out, that was on Blu-ray, and that was 1080p. It was 5.1 DTS HDMA, and that was demo 1080p material. Then you get Planet Earth 2, and that came out in 4K. That had Dolby Atmos, and that at the time was really good. However, occasionally, and there was a little disclaimer on the back of the box that said not all of this has been shot in 4K, and so there were kind of night scenes that were very grainy. There would be occasional kind of lower resolution footage because, of course, the extremes and the locales in which they're filming this stuff, sometimes you just can't get cameras like that to where they need to go. So now we get Planet Earth 3, and boy, oh boy, is this a leap above anything that I have seen in 4K before. This is exceptional, fellas. And I've seen the 8 episodes. I've seen 3 of them so far. The first one's on coasts. The second one is kind of deserts, and the third one is like grasslands and that sort of stuff, and waterlands. Now, it's easy to say it, but trust me when I tell you, you will have never seen 4K like this.
Was it shot at a higher resolution?
Oh,
Like
well,
an 8K master or something?
if it was, it would not be in the least bit surprising,
Hmm.
because it is stunningly done, and it genuinely is like looking through a window from the start to the finish, and it goes all over the world. And where in the past they have had issues with night shoots, as I say, there's a sequence in episode 1, spoiler alert, where there are some lions in the Namibian desert, and they're on the coast, and they are hunting seabirds at night. So the whole thing's shot with thermal imaging cameras, and it looks three-dimensional. It is razor sharp. You can see the individual optic nerves of the eyes of the cat from the eyeball running along, then into the brain. You can see that. That's how clear this is. And then in the second scene, second episode, which is in deep sea, it begins with an abyss-like shot of pitch black, and out of that black emerges like an exosuit, and there's no banding. It looks absolutely inky dark. It's gorgeous, and it's non-stop, and it is fantastic. And again, as good as it looks, it's in Dolby Atmos, and they have spent some time on this as well. And so mostly it's music, but you've got bass because you've got big creatures lumbering around, and there are storm sequences. There's a nice sort of sandstorm sequence in the most episode 3, and it's all around you. It's moving all around. This is fantastic, and genuinely, I mean, anyone seeing this will the jaw will hit the floor. It is awesome. So I was utterly blown away by this, and this is an easy buy. If again, John, when it I don't think it's out over there.
It's
yet.
not out here
when
yet.
It's
for about
soon.
a month.
I don't think it's
February 13th.
So when it hits, it is well worth picking up, because I think you will be blown away by this.
Yeah.
Because I said the others were good, but this is several generations beyond what we've seen before, and it may well be David Attenborough's last series as well. Bearing in mind he's pushing 100, but it looks stunningly good, and I can't wait to see the other episodes. Had it not been for the other movie we're going to talk about under some sufferance in a minute, I would have got to see more of this, and I wish I had. And so, because this is exceptional stuff. So highly recommended.
Everything you're saying though, it's like coming up with home theater, and like even going back to like when we had only 480 lines of resolution, it was content like this that was shot so well, and you'd get the laser disc or whatever you could, and it was just like it was always these nature shows, because they can just, I don't know if it's because they can leave the lens or how it works or what, but the resolution always just seemed so crisp, so much better. And we're, like you said, we just keep getting it. Like IMAX enhanced. There was a bunch, you just bought them because they were, here we come, IMAX enhanced, and it's something from Discovery or something like that. And there was a show we were watching, I think it's on Disney that you watch. What was the show we were watching, John?
Tiny Planet.
Tiny Planet.
Was it Apple TV Plus?
That was Apple TV.
Was that Apple
TV? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was
one of those. Yeah, and you just watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, all of that stuff, the way the details that you're seeing is just, it's always been like, this is for some reason, these nature shows and stuff just seem to be like a generation ahead of the rest of our content, and it's funny, like at Cedia, they showed a 8K in the JVC room, an 8K image, and they played it, with their 8K projector. And it was shot in 8K, and you got to see all that, and you're like, oh wow! And of course, what was it? It was a nature show. Right. It's like, so that's why I'm wondering if they're shooting this at 8K, and then we're getting, you'll get a little bit of a benefit and it'll just seem that much more crisp.
Yeah. So PF Production says, I've got Planet Earth 3 pre-ordered and 4K. They're always stunning. And Steve says, this is better. Take my money now. This isn't just better. I don't want you to think, oh, it's just another incremental upgrade on what's gone before.
Right.
This is several generations beyond what and I don't say that lightly, and I'm not just hyperbole for the sake of it. when I put this on, and I'm always looking forward to this, I was stunned. I mean, and that again, it is gorgeous, and as I say, it's the best 4K footage I've ever seen, and that includes the TV demos that you sometimes see on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Even better than that, this is phenomenal, and on a big screen, you will feel as though you could just step into the picture. It's amazing. So yeah, nice. and again, DJ, I don't know if you're thinking of getting it, mate, but I would genuinely recommend it. You'll love it. Yeah. So.
If nothing else, just showing off your image, like the screen, and I mean, it's just that's a lot of what you use these for. It's like, and then you kind of do get Shawshanked into it.
I was gonna say, I actually enjoy these for the content.
Yes, so do I.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's they're always just a treat to watch.
Yeah. Well, and there's some there, and they're not just showing the same old stuff. They're trying to find things that you haven't seen before. There are sequences in here of sea lions hanging up on great white sharks, sequences of killer whales chasing manta rays and how they hunt as a pack. And you've got, it's awesome. And it's a bit sad at times as well if you're an animal lover, because they do show that nature is red in tooth and claw. And, trigger alert.
That's the difficult part. You're like, you see some scenes in movies like we talked about with Jeremy Renner one, the wind, what was it?
Wind River.
Wind River in the opening scene, and you're feeling bad for one animal, and then all of a sudden now you're feeling bad for the other animal, but that was the animal that was hunting the first animal.
Remember watching like Wild Kingdom growing up, and it depended on who was the focus of that episode, right? Because one week you're watching the gazelle, and you're all into the gazelle, and you're like the lion's chasing him, and you're like, run, gazelle, and then the next week it's about the lion. And you're like, He's like, get that guy, get that gazelle.
Well, and it's also how they, to your exact point there, John. It's how they portray it. Like look at the friendly gazelle, and it eats the grass, and it does this, but it's really fast, so they can get away from the lion. And you're like, run, gazelle, save yourself. And you're like, and that's what you're trying to do. And look how fast they are, and everything. Then the next week, it's like the lions. They're like so big and strong, but they need a lot of meat to survive. And now you're like, catch the gazelle, or you're going to starve to death.
It's all about perspective.
Circle.
Yeah, exactly.
The circle of life.
If you tell a good story, I'm on any side you want me to be on.
Exactly. So
I don't know how the nature cameramen do it. I mean, I don't know how they can see
from a distance
struggling. Yeah, but you see a little baby,
so they don't end up being chased.
Right, and you have to stand there, just stay back and watch it. Yeah,
there's no way I could do that. Not in a million years. No. I'd be the one, shepherd. There's your mummy. Go on. There's your mum. Go on. I'd just completely ruin the circle of life.
I was like, hey, there's a lion over there. You better start running.
Yeah,
the lion away. Leave the gazelle.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's see. Next up. Ooh. I can't believe you guys hadn't mentioned this one. So this one here, Jen and I, this to get to the point that
I watched it.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Oh, cool. So Netflix series, Fool Me Once, Dolby Vision, 4K Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I will say you could watch this in your living room. We chose to watch it. Jen and I chose to watch it in the theater, and I couldn't take myself away from that. I mean, we were like, because we feel bad going down sometimes and leaving the dogs upstairs because they don't come down to the theater. But I thought this one had a really good home theater experience for what is relatively kind of a drama. There's not a ton of home theater stuff, but I thought it was shot really well. I thought that the picture on the picture quality was really, really good. I thought the Atmos was good, great dialogue, and but it didn't really have a ton of action. It had a few scenes here and there, like a chase scenes or something, and some gunshots go off. But most of it was just like I was riveted to the screen. Jen was riveted to the screen. They do a really good job in this series of the end every episode where you go, oh my God, I at least got to watch the first 5 minutes of the next one. But Jen and I had so much fun with this one. It kind of Shawshanked us one day. We ended up, and we typically don't do this, but we did the first 5 episodes, which was almost 5 hours long, and we just went boom, 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 and we were disappointed that we were out of time. We had to get up. We had an appointment to get to, and we're like, damn.
6, right?
So,
wasn't that all of it? Pretty much.
I think it was 8.
Was it 8?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it was 8 episodes.
Maybe it was. I
think.
Didn't remember it being quite that long, but.
What'd you think, John?
Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, we watched this while we were on break. We were on our vacation, so I wasn't taking notes of the things we were watching.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers, we still watched stuff when we were on vacation. But yeah, I thought it was great. This was one of the shows that I didn't figure out before it was over.
Yeah.
Like
it was great.
It's
a mystery for sure.
Most times we've watched so many shows by now that you've pretty much figured it out. But going even into the last episode, I was like, I still don't know what's going on here. I didn't quite have it worked out. Oh God, I don't want to. This is
exactly.
It's not a spoiler to say
it's a mystery.
I didn't love the ending, but it was satisfying.
I can agree with you. Yes.
I don't know, but I didn't love it.
I didn't either. I didn't love the ending either, but it's a good ending.
It was satisfying.
I didn't like it.
But I didn't like it.
But there were moments because it's a mystery. There are moments in this, even in the first episode. By the time Jen and I got to like episode 3, I was like, "This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
what is going on here?" And you're like, they were like, "This
but
would
in a good
never
way, not like crazy." Like not ridiculous, stupid, but
but there was some stuff that, if you remember, I'll talk to you off air about it, but I mentioned about in the movie Christine, and I had said something that there was an aspect to that I was like, wait a minute, that's ridiculous. There was a little bit of that to this story as well. Obviously being very cryptic here, but
we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards.
I don't know what you're
yeah. We'll talk about it afterwards. But by the time you get to the end of it, it really is kind of like it's a mystery show, drama mystery, and by the end of it, you're like, whoa, okay, and it really good. I thought it was very. It was Harlan Coben. Coben, his books.
And it's funny that since I've watched this, I've got like 5 things suggested to me now on like different streaming services. Harlan Coben's this and this.
Yeah, we've Jen has read his stuff. She likes his stuff, and that's why we ended up doing it. So, but yeah. So that really good. And what did you think, John, on the home theater side of it? Do you agree with me? Like it was.
No, I agree.
Good,
I thought it was good. Yeah, it just was. It's a drama, like you said. So it just doesn't. It's not one of those shows that lends itself to a lot of home theater action. But there's subtle, atmospheric stuff that's happening while you're watching it. And, again, bear in mind, this was at least 3 weeks ago that I've watched it. So
it did come out in 2024. So
I've slept since then. So I don't know. Oh, maybe. Well, this might've been like a New Year's Day thing then.
Yeah.
I watched. But yeah, I mean, I remember thinking it was decent. I looked good. Like the picture was great. But the sound, again, there's not a lot happening, but it was still good.
But it's definitely worth seeing in the best, on the best system you have. I think it's because it's an event. It was fun, and we really, like I said, we went right through. We binged 5, and then we just couldn't wait to get back for each one.
I feel like anytime anything is mixed in Atmos or it has Dolby Vision, it should be seen in the best possible format.
Well, Ted Lasso was Vision and Atmos, and I don't really think you need, and I did have people commenting to me, did you hear that guy?
Again, to me, I wouldn't watch that in the bedroom. I don't know. I just wouldn't, because I feel like,
that's because you fall asleep.
Well, I just feel like, it's got Atmos. I might miss something, like I just don't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. Again, like I'm fine watching, CSI or anything like that
Right,
in my
TV
bedroom.
shows.
But, yeah, but I feel like if it's on a streamer and they've gone to the trouble to master it, that we should watch it. You know, and be able to enjoy it. So,
yep. All right. Let's see.
Just 2 seconds while you're looking now. Just to
go ahead.
Production says in the chat, best image quality for streaming, hands down. I think that means Planet and Planet Earth 2. Rivaling anything on physical media is Samsara in 4K. Stunning. It's in Dolby Atmos.
Not familiar with
that is very good. But Samsara PF is a sequel to an earlier film called Baraka, Baraka, which was shot in 70mm, and that's available on Blu-ray. And that is like they called it like a tone poem, basically a series of sequences edited together to music, and that is a thing of beauty as well. So Samsara is very good, but I think Baraka is better. Perhaps not quite video quality wise, because it's older, but it is a fantastic experience, and there are some genuinely moving moments in that. So if you haven't seen Baraka, track that down as well. And Samsara is really good too. So fair play. There we go. Cool. Sorry, just saw that drop into the chat.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right. John, here we go. This
will be quick.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
So this was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This was my 4K disc, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I've just been slowly making my way through the box set that I bought a year ago and never watched. And so we pulled this out the other day because we didn't have anything to watch. And I said, well, let's watch the next indie movie. So I thought this quality-wise so far was the best disc in the set. I think it was better than Raiders and Temple of Doom.
Really?
As far as the quality of the image and sound go. Raiders was the second movie I ever watched on my projector. I watched Star Wars and then I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I remember it being good, but I was also kind of in awe of my 123-inch screen that I had only watched one movie on ever. So it kind of, I was definitely blown away by it.
Was big.
Right. But then over the holiday, or maybe a couple weeks before that, we watched Temple of Doom, and I was just meh with them. I mean, the movie itself, and because it's not one of my favorites. And I just didn't think the disc quality was anything to write home about. But this one here, I thought looked stunning. Like I thought this looked fantastic. The sound is still, again, it's Dolby Atmos, but this is a movie that's 30 years old, and it it definitely had some peaks with some explosions and things like that, but it wasn't anything necessarily to write home about, I didn't think. But I thought the picture was stunning. Like I just thought you could see every pore, every bead of sweat, everything. The detail I thought on this movie was unbelievable. I thought it was really, really good. And then, of course, this is super fun. Like this is behind Raiders, I think the best movie in the franchise. So, and we hadn't seen it for a while. So it was just a blast to revisit and watch this again on the big screen. Because I did see this in the theaters when it came out, but obviously I haven't seen it, on the big screen in quite some time. And just a lot of fun. And
Mikey Schramm has never seen this.
I was just gonna say everybody here has seen this except for I guess Mike. So I won't get into too many other details of it, but
there's a whip.
This is a super fun movie, and like I said, I think it's a great disc. Again, especially on the video side. Just really, really good looking. So
I haven't seen this one in a while, and I thought I actually the only one I've seen. I have them all. In 4K, the only one I've seen is Raiders. So I kind of want it just off of that. I'm like, and I thought Raiders looked great.
I'm not sure I can bring myself to watch the Crystal Skull, but I will watch it again.
Yeah.
Just to rate the disc. No spoilers. And like I said, I thought Raiders looked great too, but it also, again, I was chalking some of it up to just the fact that I was watching it in my living room on 123 inches. So.
Yeah.
I've watched them all on the 4K set, and I thought they all look great. I mean, I love Raiders is top 3 films for me. I think top 5, at least.
Yeah.
And I loved how that 4K looked, and especially how it sounded. The atmos and that's fantastic right from the very beginning. And so I thought they all look good. They all look really decent. Bearing in mind their age. Right. But this, of course, was the most recent of the original trilogy. So I suppose each one got better than the one before, I suppose. But they all look such classic movies. They all look like they're from the era in which they are set.
They definitely do.
And so I love them for that. And I think the whole set's good. I mean, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is what it is, but it looks good, even if it's not a great movie. But yeah, no, it's well worth this set. It's great.
Yeah, John, I have it highlighted. John's comment, I had it highlighted, and they're like, hello, John in the chat. I think John is new, and he says, do you watch movies together here and talk about them as they're on? No, a lot of that we've talked about doing that, but
I don't know that we could.
That you can.
We'd get blocked. I think Netflix would block us because of the copyright.
Not Netflix, YouTube.
I mean, not Netflix,
yeah,
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube would
Netflix
get you could either get blocked or stricken or whatever. But then the other part is like, and we've thought about doing it even because there's other places you could just do it privately.
We could do it on Patreon. It'd probably be fun to do at one point. But
the logistics of it is really hard, because especially in a home theater setup, because you'd have to have your theater set up running loud at your whatever you listen at. How are you going to hear other people talk? You're going to be it really doesn't work.
I don't think it would be a home theater experience more than like a mystery science.
It'd just be a chat.
Experience. Yeah, it would just be us watching and commenting a stream as we were, And we would have to do it on Patreon because, again, I watch a lot of things on YouTube, reviews and things, and they're always blocked or chopped up or blurred out because copyright won't let you do that.
Yeah. Even having the sounds playing in the background, you're not allowed, right? And it's like I've put out videos. I did the video I did of my screen masking just because I could, and I showed. And there was no sound to it. I just showed how it blocked out. That one it didn't get taken off, but you get demonetized on YouTube. And it's like, just because you're showing the image and it was like 10 seconds of the movie. It's like,
but in some cases they'll take it down. Like they will take the video.
If you go too far,
they'll block it or take it down. So,
oops. Yeah. So, and John and I did actually try to do that on Saturday mornings during the pandemic with the Saturday
Spider-Man.
morning cartoons.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And we were like, but did we do it live? We didn't do it live, did we?
No, we were recording. I think
we recorded it and then put it out. So live would probably be more fun.
Right.
But we were just like, that was funny. That was really funny. So, all right. Let's see. What do we got next here? Oh, we were all done with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh boy.
Well, we already know what Steve thinks of this. Which thank you, Steve, because you saved me 3.5 hours, I think.
I wish someone had warned me about this.
All right, let's bring it up. I'll let you announce it, Steve.
Okay, so this is the new Marty Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is exclusive to Apple TV Plus because it's an Apple original, as I understand.
I also, it's out. I have it on Kaleidoscape.
Okay, all right.
Yep, came out. It actually came out a little while ago on Kaleidoscape, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was Apple exclusive. Oh, well, there we go.
Oh no.
So Martin Scorsese's new film, and I'm actually think of myself as a Scorsese fan. I like most of his movies. The last one that I saw of his, The Irishman, I've seen 3 times. That's 3.5 hours long. Really enjoy it. The Departed, Shutter Island, obviously Casino, Goodfellas, all those movies, Wolf of Wall Street, Gangs of New York, all of those films I really like. And I was very excited on Sunday afternoon to sit down and think, right, I've got the new Scorsese movie. I've got the chance to see it first in the cinema room. I had the afternoon to myself. I thought, this is going to be great. And then 45 minutes into the film, that excitement had dissipated somewhat. And I began to think, what is this movie? If it's a whodunit, I don't get it because I know who's doing it. If it's about the victims of this particular horrible series of events, why are we not really seeing them? And I watched it and I watched it and I watched it and I watched it. And then I thought, thank God, there must only be about 20 minutes left. Yeah. And then I turned on the thing and there was an hour to go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think this is torture. And so I finished off the last hour last night. Under some sufferance, I have to say. I thought, well, I've got to finish it. It felt like homework. It really did. And whilst the last hour kind of is a bit better, there are some odd acting choices made, some strange story beats, and by the end of it, I was very, very glad it was over. And I
Fatigued.
will never will I see this film again. I will not buy it. I will not watch it. This is a Scorsese film to just forget about for me. And I appreciate that is a niche view, although looking on Rotten Tomatoes, there are a number of critics that were similar, but by far and away, most critics love it. But I'm afraid this is a
awards seem to love it too. So.
Well, yeah. But indeed, but like I said, I love The Irishman. That was 3.5 hours. It's not the length; it's the story. And if it's a good story, like JFK, like Oppenheimer, the length doesn't matter. But if the story is turgid and repetitive and flat out dull, then it just that time just drags. Now, having said that, it does look good. I mean, there are some razor sharp images in this of old time clothing and everything like that. So that's fine. There's actually some decent home cinema audio as well. It's in Atmos on Apple TV Plus. There is a chase sequence at the beginning, well, a race sequence, in fact, which does sound quite good. And the cars go right down the side of the room and stuff like that. There is a nice moment where two characters are sat in at a dining table, and it's raining outside, and one of the characters says to the other one, "Just shh, let's just listen." Yeah, and I actually thought it was raining outside my room because it was. I mean, it was all around, so that was good, but not enough to entertain me for 3.5 hours of hell. So yeah, this like I said, I will not be seeing this movie again. Thank you very much. What did you think, Deej?
I heard a few reviews similar to yours. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, so I bought this. I think I pre-purchased it, and then it had dropped a few weeks ago, but I hadn't had a chance to see it. And the opening scene, I was like, oh man. I thought this was going to be another 3 hours of like Oppenheimer, where the sound and the score and everything just moves you through that movie. And because the opening to this, and there are some really good use of sound and Atmos and bass, and there's some really, really good stuff in here. I loved that opening scene. The music, the bass, the beats coming through you. And I was like, here we go. It was a slog. It was brutal because it like literally went off a cliff after that. Like just the tone, but the tone of the movie is that. I mean, this to me is like, if this is, I don't know if it's based off a true story or if it's based off true events. If this is actually because of the way, are the names in this real, or is it made from you know what I mean? I don't know that.
Yeah, that I don't
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. This movie is so difficult to watch that I would put it. It's not as well made, but I would put this on like Schindler's List type difficulty to watch because of what happens here, what goes on with these people, and the vile evil of an individual, right? So by the end of it, you're just like disgusted. Like, and I mean, there are evil people in the world, And there, I mean, it's like we had John in the chat said, where did it go? John in the chat said, this is, I can't find it, John. I'm sorry, but it's, he said, this is, oh, here it is. I think this is Marty's White Man Bad movie. And I was like, I wouldn't say White Man Bad, like that guy bad. Because they were like, I mean, it's just like, ugh. And it's like, but I mean, there are some, you know, there are all different races in the movie, and there's, you know, a lot of them are good trying to, but it's just, it's so difficult, but it's so slowly told that by the end of it, it's like, I felt like, you know, like when we said in John Wick 4, you're like, if you cut a couple of those scenes there, maybe you tighten that up a little bit. We have so much fun on the roller coaster ride. You're like, and this one here, you're not having fun. There's no roller coaster ride. I don't know how you cut it because you got to tell the story, but I'm not a filmmaker like that. But at the end, you're just like, you're so drained. And every now and then, as a home theater fan, you're like, all right, well, that was pretty good, but it's over 3 hours long. There's not a lot. There's so much down in between that you're like, The Departed, I think, is way better. Like the tone of that and the dynamics of that storytelling and everything that he did there. It wasn't evident here. And I just thought the movie itself was it was a difficult one. I mean, the subject matter is difficult, but even if it was just, I've been through Schindler's List a few times, you know, and it's like, but this one here, I'm like, just didn't play well.
I'm not going to go near comparing the Holocaust to anything else. But
I'm not comparing the Holocaust. I'm comparing how you feel when you see it. You're just like, this is disgusting. And it's like, but like I've said about Schindler's List here, it's like, was it Oscar Schindler, right? What he did there is uplifting. Right? He saved those people. We've talked about that on the show, but witnessing what was going on, same here. It's like you're witnessing what's going on and that people did this, and you're like, it's awful.
What I was struggling with particularly is there's no drive to the story. It doesn't, I mean, I've seen reviews that talk about how repetitive it is. And I think that's right. You know, it's just the same thing again and again and again and again. There's no, and Scorsese tends to have a drive to his story. The Irishman had that. There's a proper arc. You see where this is going. It has a drive to it, as does all of the other movies that I mentioned. But this one just is turgid and just like you said, a slog in every way,
right?
And it again, it's navel gazing. You could summarize this story in 30 seconds, you know, and it's a horrible story, but it's not a story that needs to be shown again and again and again and again until you've been hit over the head with it so many times that you've just lost all interest in what you become numb to what you're seeing. I think because it's boring. And I know that sounds horrible to say because of how horrible the incidents have been, but there's another way of telling this story that gets across the horror of what happened, but does not bore you to tears with the way in which it's told. You know, and John Thompson, you know, he's seen it 3 times. John, you're a better man than me. We've seen it 3 times, but says the second time it played better. It is self-indulgent. And I think that, I mean, I don't like to say that about Martin Scorsese because the guy's a genius, but it does feel a bit navel gazing. It is a bit just don't show one scene of something if 12 scenes will do. And that's kind of how this felt. And some odd choice in DiCaprio's acting at times as well. Not quite sure where the jutting lip for the last half comes from, but it's just really odd. He suddenly just starts talking in a weird way.
The whole movie, I thought DiCaprio was just doing Sling Blade, and I thought, and I thought De Niro was doing Springsteen. His mannerisms, the way he talked, he was like nailing like how Springsteen talks, and I've watched him so much. I was like, you're doing Springsteen, he's doing Sling Blade, and it was odd.
It was odd, and like I said, I'm quite happy to not experience this again. Look, let us know what you think of it, John.
I could tell you right now, I won't have an opinion.
Yeah.
You have swayed me. I wasn't sure I wanted to see it to begin with, but I would have given it the benefit of the doubt based on the cast and the director. But
Yeah, well, quite.
now
I was really looking forward to it.
I
but
don't know
Me
that I
too.
will. No,
I actually, somebody in the chat said they saw the trailer and they were out on the trailer. I loved the trailer. I was like, that looks good, because I loved what DiCaprio was doing. I mean, even in the trailer, I'm like, this looks really good. And and then even like I said, how it opened, I was like, all right, I'm all in on this. This is going to be, And it's like you're waiting for that more, like keep the movie moving, and it didn't. To your point, Steve, it's like it was just like, oh, here we go.
I mean, I hate to not form my own opinions, but when the both of you are telling me that.
Right,
pass,
Mr. Brightside over here, and
that's the thing. Generally, I want to watch it and make my own opinion, but 3.5 hours is a long time.
When DJ don't like it, and DJ like everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see John's version. John has redone this. Look, Marty doesn't hit home runs all the time. Casino, The Departed, Foodfellas. That sounds really good. I missed that one.
Yeah,
that sounds.
That's
cool.
John on Sundays.
That's my kind of that's my kind of movie. Sometimes Monday night.
Fellas. That's awesome.
Sorry, John. It's not your fault. I know what you.
That was funny. That was great. That was funny.
I thought he was saying that those were the ones that he didn't hit home runs on. I'm like, man,
I
like all three.
Not everybody hits home. You can't hit a home run on everything.
Right.
Look at our shows.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go out on a high note. Spoilers on this next one. Let's go out on a high note here. I'll bring Marvels. Dropped today on Kaleidoscape. I grabbed it on obviously Kaleidoscape, as you see on the screen, but I also grabbed it. Let's see, is it working? Yeah, look at that. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. It's actually the live. So if you take the live picture, see how the animation is actually on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
All
that
right.
Disney Plus?
iTunes. You have to purchase it right now. It's only up for purchase. So it's $19.99 if you want to buy it now. And I can't remember what I paid for Kaleidoscape. It's probably $24.99 as Disney stuff is typically, but I pre-purchased this anyways. And it's funny. Todd and I were talking last week. It had come up for pre-purchase last week, and which was out of the ordinary for Disney. Disney movies typically they just show up on Kaleidoscape available to buy when they drop digitally. And this is if it's not the first one, because I feel like I might have said this before, but this one came up for pre-purchase like a week ago. So I bought it. I got up this morning and there it was. Right. And I was like, oh, all right. Snowstorm outside. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. So I compared the two. Did you both see this? I know, John, you saw it in the theater, right?
I saw it in the theaters, yes.
Steve, you didn't see it yet?
No, still not.
Okay.
No, Marvel fatigue.
I know. Marvel fatigue.
I'm going to buy the disc when it comes out, but I'm happy to wait for the disc.
But you enjoyed it, right, John? We both thought it was like
it was
good.
My favorite Marvel of 2023.
Yeah. So the disc?
I think it was.
It's good.
Yeah.
The disc is good. I saw this in the theater in 3D. And I thought the 3D really was really good. And I thought it lent itself to seeing it in 3D really helped because of the what do you call them? The portals or whatever they're going through in space there. And I thought there was a lot of nice effects going on there. But the 4K HDR on this, really, really nice. It looks really good. I'll get more into that in a minute. The audio on it, so much good Atmos. There's scenes where like people are on speakers, but you're in like, and it comes in all around you. When they're jumping around, you know what that is, John. It's like point noise. I mean, they're full use of all the speakers in your room. I had a lot of fun with this one. The singing and dancing. That was a fun scene. The dynamics of the on your screen, the vibrancy of the colors, all of that fun stuff. really,
one scene
really
I
good.
didn't love.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not one that you'd be like, oh wow, more of that in the MCU, please. But
Right.
home theater wise, it was really good.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I bet it was.
Now to get, I mean, if you saw it in the theater and you enjoyed the movie, definitely grab the disc. You'll be very happy with it. This is almost a must own, I would say. It's very, very good disc. If I wouldn't say this is one to buy digitally if you plan on getting the disc and do a comparison, because wait for the disc. I compared the two of them. The digital, the iTunes purchase looks really good. It sounds really good, but it doesn't. There's a significant drop between the digital and the physical media. The physical media, what I have on the Kaleidoscape right now is the picture. I'll tell you, when you first go like to the digital, you're like, this looks really good, nice vibrancy, good detail, everything. Then you go back and you were like, oh no, that's not as clear. Okay, let me go back again. All right, that's not as clear. It's like it's a slight blur to it that it's not as crisp. And then it's also the dynamics aren't as like, it's not as vibrant. So like some of those in this movie here, there's tons of things that you want that vibrancy for. If you were to just put it on in one room and you had to walk all the way to another room and see it there, you probably wouldn't know a difference. But if you have to choose, I would choose the physical media. I would wait for the physical media on this. You will not be disappointed. The audio on it, the dynamics, so much better on the physical. So much better. So there's the opening scene they have. There's some bass in it. There's a spaceship and bass. Spoilers. Yeah, right. Spaceship and bass. And I've said it before, my Harmony remote, if you get the right amount of bass and it shakes and it goes low enough, the Harmony remote on my chair will light up. It will activate. It would activate in Kaleidoscape, but it didn't activate on the digital. There's a few jumps later on in the movie where, a few scenes later on in the movie, same thing. It's just not as dynamic, and it definitely wait for the disc because it's a lot of fun. I think I would love to do this one, like somebody, when this comes out on physical, do a Takeover Tuesday with somebody and just talk about some scenes, because this is one that I would love to do, like how I used to break them down, because there's some 3 boxes of popcorn here. It's like there's a lot of fun stuff in this movie. So I don't want to say I got Shawshanked into it because I was just going to pop through, but it was a lot of fun, and definitely worth picking up if you enjoyed it in the theater. If you're got a MCU hangover, then maybe not. What do you got there, Steve? Keith?
Keith says, just when I think I'm out of the MCU, you guys pull me right back in.
Thanks, Keith.
I mean, like I said, I'm definitely going to get the disc because I've got all of the movies. I'm not out of it enough to break the chain, but I'm not expecting much from this. I didn't like Miss Marvel. I didn't enjoy that series. I never finished it. Just because I didn't feel it was for me. It wasn't aimed at me. I didn't feel.
Yeah.
So I'm wary of this because I'm wondering if it's more of the same. Mm-mm. So I don't know, but I will buy the disc. It'll be worth buying it, and then hopefully I'll enjoy it. But we will see.
Well, one last thing before I could go on here, but John, tell people why it was your favorite MCU of the year. Just, spoiler free, of course, but
because the other stuff was crap. I don't know.
Oh,
no, I mean,
okay.
I don't know. I just didn't.
I
just didn't love, because what did we have? Ant-Man, Quantumania, which I didn't think. Oh, true. I forgot
Guardians
about Guardians
3. Yeah,
I forgot about that. So Guardians 3 might have been my favorite then, but this would be close second. I didn't love Thor: Love and Thunder, although that might have been 2022. I can't recall. But I just feel like the last several Marvel movies I was underwhelmed by. And this one, perhaps because I went in with lower expectations to start with, but I just had a blast with this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked Captain Marvel. I know I'm one of the few, but I did like that movie. I like her as Captain Marvel. as far as Miss Marvel goes, I do agree that the show was aimed at a different audience, but I still found it fun. But what I liked about this is that it took the aspects of the show that I enjoyed and incorporated them into the movie, and it left out the things that I didn't like from the show.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and so I thought as a character, like Iman Vellani steals this movie. She is just super fun.
She's fun.
She's a joy to watch. You know, her personality is infectious, kind of like she just feels like she's a spectator. Like she feels like us. If we got thrown into this movie, you know, because she's, you know, with her heroes and she, you know, but
it's the relationship. It's like not only the relationship of the characters, but I mean, it's that, you know, imagine being her. You have to see it, Steve. But I know what you're saying about the show. Like John said, it's like there are aspects like it wasn't really that show. Miss Marvel wasn't really for us. But now you incorporate her into a world where it's like, okay, now we're bringing you in here, and the dichotomy between them all, or the juxtaposition, I should say, of like, this isn't right, but it's like it is, and it's like they're kind of like it was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of humor that was pulled out of that too.
There was, yeah, and I like Monica. You know, I liked her from WandaVision. I liked that character as well. So yeah, I thought that, like I said, I just thought it was a lot of fun. But again, I had lower expectations of it. So maybe I was just surprised more than anything. I haven't seen it a second time, but I don't imagine I'll like it less.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah,
I would. I mean, I liked Captain Marvel as well. I mean, I like that. I thought she was really good. Brie Larson's great as the character. So I'm hoping that, you know, exactly as you said, the bits from the show that weren't for me won't sour me too much on the movie. But yeah, I'm happy to wait for it to hit disc, and then I'll give it a go.
If you typically watch physical media, I would wait for the physical media. Don't just grab the digital just for the sake of getting it early, because I don't think it's that good of a movie that you need both copies, but I do think it's a very, very good. It's going to be a very good disc.
This is also February 13th. It comes out the same day as Planet Earth 3. So
there you go. Look at us. All right. That's the show.
Yeah.
We went out on a high note.
We did.
We have let me get this one in the chat here. Where did it go? I'll just highlight it from here. Chris Brown, Killers, from what I have read up on since, is spot on from the true story, not, quote, laid on thick. These guys were horrible people. I'm happy I was able to learn about it. I thought it was well told. From that aspect, I agree with you, Chris. I think it's something that, like, I didn't know about until this. But I lean more towards Steve's side, in that I think you could have told this in a, I don't want to say entertaining way, but in a way that it was, you know, it didn't feel as draining to us. It's like, I just don't know how to describe that, but I could actually, Chris, if you want to do a Takeover Tuesday, we could do it the whole thing about the movie, because I can actually swing my opinion the other way by saying that's the point of the movie, because if you go through this, it's going to be a draining thing. So I could see that. I could see Scorsese saying if he wants to come over and do his Takeover Tuesday, I'd be happy to talk to him about it. But I could see him saying, like, yeah, that's the point. I wanted you to be drained at the end of this because this is a horrible experience. So I get that. But sometimes if you have people like Steve and I going, I wouldn't really watch that, your story's not going to get told as much. I'm not saying you have to make it entertaining, but Schindler's List wasn't entertaining, but it's a masterpiece in storytelling. I don't think Killers of the Flower Moon is a masterpiece in storytelling, because at the end you're going, don't see it. It's like, and it's a shame, because I'd more tell you to just go look up what the story is about, and you see how awful that was, and then you don't have to sit through that. But I see your point, Chris, and yeah, I agree with you, but so all right. Anything else, guys?
No.
Nope. All done.
All right. All done. All right. Yeah, we got to get it. We're running late. So I know Steve's got to get to bed. Sorry. But thank you to all the Patreon supporters. Thanks to everybody that's supporting us, everybody in the chat. So much fun. Huge chat numbers. Great comments from everybody. Thank you very much. This is the live show. Obviously, this is the live show. This is it. The 2-hour, 19-minute show. It's going to be 2-hour, 20-minute show. And all these will be coming out in segments. So watch for those. And you can just, each segment we just did is going to come out as its own segment. We're going to try doing that going forward. So thank you, everybody. That's, actually, you know what? I got to pull up the other stuff because we'll cut this out of the segment. Because whatever. All right. I had good flow going there. All right, let's get out of here. What do we got to do?
Go push play.
What he said.
Hey, Fred,